Hey Squishies, back again with another vlog. This is, at long last, the beginning of Gravity Falls Season 2, Episode 1, Scary-Oke. So this was a really good jumping back into a new season kind of an episode. Right off the bat, it addressed the changes from at the end of the last season, that Stan has that Stargate or whatever it is in his basement, and has now activated it by combining the three journals, and that Gideon is in jail. And then it throws us kind of into some new changes that happen very quickly over the course of the episode. Kind of introducing maybe some things that are going to be going on this season. Like the fact that the federal government is investigating some agency or another, which was pretty inevitable given the amount of Twin Peaks and X-Files in the show's DNA. Especially Twin Peaks, because, the main character of Twin Peaks is an FBI agent that's investigating the town, a murder that occurred in the town. And of course, X-Files follows FBI agents as they investigate paranormal stuff. But of course, this is... what year was this? 2013? Whatever year it came out. Point is, close enough to now that trust in government is not high, generally for good reasons. As I record this, we've just finished the first week of the new president, which has been interesting. Over the weekend, he issued some unconstitutional rules. Government agents were turning people back at the border, defying court orders. It's been a shit show. And there's been massive spontaneous counter-protests at airports all over the country, which is amazing and awesome, but also kind of a measure of how little we trust the government now, because it's given us zippo reason to trust it for decades. Honestly, since my entire lifetime at minimum, which would be beginning of the 80s. But, it took a little while for that trust to erode completely. And so now, of course, the government agents are the villains. Because, of course, they are. Because most of the time that's what they are in real life. Not because of something inherent about government, although I'd say it kind of is inherent to law enforcement specifically, but because our government specifically has been increasingly deliberately made to be incompetent at best and actively destructive at worst by people with an agenda in wanting to build distrust of government, because an environment of distrust of government is, of democratic government, is a great environment in which to, stage a fascist coup. Hence, this past week. However, backfired on them a little bit, because distrust of government is also sufficiently high that people are reacting very negatively to attempts by said fascist coup to exert its power. So, point is, in 1990, 1992, the government agent was the hero, now they're the villains. And probably rightly so when we're talking about mysterious, clandestine, investigative / enforcement agencies. Regardless, so that was set up. and a huge change. Stan and Dipper now know a little bit of what each other are up to. Stan kind of already knew more than he let on of what Dipper was up to, but now they're a little bit more on the same page. They're still deceiving each other. Dipper is still going to investigate things. Stan is still going to keep secret the Stargate, but it's something. It's a step. What I really like about it is that a lot of the time we have either a Dipper story or a Mabel story. And the Dipper stories fall into either investigation of a paranormal phenomenon or obnoxious him pining, pun intended, over Mabel. No, not Mabel. What's her name? Wendy. Why do these characters have such old lady names? Mabel and Wendy, or whatever. But this episode, and then you get Mabel episodes, which are about her, engaging in some kind of relatively normal teen activity that then goes deeply weird. Like, sleepover, obsessing over a boy band, that kind of thing. This episode managed to integrate the two in a really clever way. Something we haven't really seen before, I don't think. But, Mabel's party was going really well, but Dipper, wasn't interested. The whole thing about her saying, don't summon the dead, what's the one thing I asked you, don't summon the dead, the jokes leading into her party set up the paranormal event, and then her party contained the resolution to the paranormal event. It's a clever way to kind of integrate these A and B plots into a single whole that functions as an episode. And so in that sense, that's yet another thing the show is kind of changing up. And I'm hoping that's something that'll keep going in the rest of the season, that they will, instead of having discrete Mabel episode, Dipper episode, they'll kind of combine the two, where Mabel's teenager stuff, which is vastly more entertaining than Dipper's teenager stuff, because Dipper's teenager stuff is taken seriously, and the worst thing you can do with anything to do with being a teenager is take it seriously, because teenagers already take it seriously enough already. Because that's kind of what being a teenager is about. Giant emotions, where everything is the most serious thing ever, and your life is over if you don't get the thing you want. So I like how Mabel's stories kind of mock it, whereas Dipper's stories, I think, tend to take it a little more seriously, which is probably why I get bored of them. But yeah, if we combine Mabel's teenager stuff and Dipper's investigative stuff and integrate them, which honestly, I think the last time the show really did that was the gnomes in the first episode, which I loved. So bringing that back is gorgeous. To a lesser extent, there's a Mermando, but that wasn't really something Dipper was investigating. It didn't involve the journal. It wasn't even really a secret of Gravity Falls, because Mermando came from the sea. But, yeah, if they can integrate those more, that'll be great. I would really enjoy that. I would love to see Stan getting involved more. All in all, this is a really good episode that did a really good job of setting up for the coming season. I'm looking forward to what that might hold. I'm assuming we're eventually going to find, because I know this is the last season, I'm assuming we're eventually going to find out where that Stargate goes. We're eventually going to get some clues about what Stan's involvement with the journals is and where they came from. Probably Gideon's going to come back. Probably Bill is going to come back. Or the other option, I think, is plausible. Because, Bill, his last name is Cipher. That, his cousin Lou or Luke or something like that or brother or whatever might show up. I'm hoping not, though. I kind of like Bill Cipher as a villain. So I'm hoping he shows up again. And obviously the government investigation is going to show up again. So they've set up a lot of good stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it all goes. That's about it. I'm actually going to go write a bit, and then I'm going to watch another episode. Bye!